Want to help students while growing your career? As a school psychologist, you'll make sure that every student's social, emotional, behavior, and academic needs are met. And in the process, you'll create learning environments where students, families, and staff in schools feel safe, welcome, and supported. The School Psychology program at the University of Minnesota is officially accredited by the American Psychological Association and approved by the National Association of School Psychologists. Our graduate students receive training in advocacy, assessment, intervention, prevention, consultation, supervision, training, research, and program evaluation and development. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates the demand for school psychologists will increase 11% from 2012 to 2022. The University of Minnesota's urban location provides a variety of hands-on learning experiences that will prepare you to serve students, schools, and communities. Our graduates practice school psychology in K-12 schools, become university faculty members, conduct research, and work for private companies. There's no shortage of opportunities in the field of school psychology, and no better place to study than the University of Minnesota.
I feel like you can get diversity experience in a lot of urban areas, but for me, the culture here is so rich and so diverse. And I grew up in a suburb and didn't really see a lot of diversity in my life. And given the combination of the reputation and the right fit feeling, it was just like, I could get a lot of really cool experience here working with kids and families and seeing what it's like to be in an urban area and make education work for kids.
One of the greatest things about my experience at the U of M was my cohort. It was so small, it was 12 people, and we took all of our classes together, and it truly was a cohort, a group, a cohesive group that worked together, supported each other, and grew as students and leaned on each other for support. And now, with some of my cohort members who are out in the field, just like I am, we're colleagues now. We ask questions, we email, we talk once in a while. And besides my cohort also, because the program is so small, I have relationships, professional relationships, contacts with people who are above and below my cohort. So I actually have 3 other psychologists in my district who are graduates from the U of M. And it's just a great camaraderie, just knowing we came from the same training background, kind of the same mindset and forward thinking. It's just been a great experience. So from the beginning, going into the program with my cohort, a cohesive group of students, to now being surrounded by like-minded professionals in my district.
Coming in as a former teacher, I had a pretty robust knowledge of the day-to-day experiences, the kind of rhythm of being in a school. I knew very little about research in education and research in psychology. And so I had these experiences in terms of coursework. I think some of the earlier courses that I took, say in the first 2 years, had more of that applied focus, which I think is highlighted in the fact that I had practicum experiences connected to those courses, specifically, say my assessment courses, my intervention courses, where I would learn about different assessment tools, learn about different intervention protocols, and then apply them with a child, with a classroom, with a teacher.
Practica reminds me of why I wanted to start studying. And then Practica also, I think, gives me a healthy dose of, like a reality check. So here is best practices, which we hear about from Monday to Thursday in lectures, and then on Friday you go to your practicum and you ask your supervisor about it, or you observe like teachers and students, and then you see the gap between best practices and reality, obviously, and you see how you have to adapt what you learn in class to really fit the individual needs of the school, given the limited resources or given like different philosophies that educators have. So yeah, practicum is my favorite part.
My research falls into, I think, of 2 big buckets. One is early language and literacy and assessment. That's very traditional school psychology assessment kind of stuff. The other is parenting and family dynamics in communities of color. And so that is very different. It's almost like a clinical kind of practice. But for me, they actually intersect really nicely. So my work is in the parenting side is in Family Academy here in North Minneapolis, working with NAS pretty closely. I'm doing a lot of stuff with folks in clinical psych. My colleague Rich Lee and I are working on an intervention there. And then my assessment stuff is mostly IGD stuff, but I weave the culture stuff. So I'm PI on a Spanish grant, right? So it's sort of about finding that path, right? Always trying to find the opportunities to weave that in. But for me, I'm at the core of sort of what I do. I'm really committed to sort of community empowerment and striving to bring evidence-based resources to families and communities, including educators and classroom folks and staff, with sort of the push and the rigor that's behind the research that can be found in like a school psychology program. So that's how those things got married for me. That's I took what I learned in the like how to review research, how to build a research portfolio, and really wanted to try to apply those things in the field practices that I have with families. And so it's worked well for me. I don't know, like in hindsight, would someone say I look like a school psychologist? Maybe not, but I'm okay with that. I'm all right.
I would say that the training that I received here at this program was a perfect match for what I do. I got to be involved extensively in statistics and analysis, and I would argue just as importantly, make relationships with people whose interests and expertise was developed deeply in methodology and analysis, which comes in handy when you're developing and evaluating new programs. And I also was made incredibly familiar with and comfortable with identifying evidence-based practices, generally speaking, but specifically in early literacy and in math. And the program has a good, strong emphasis in that, and I had a particular interest in that, and so it really served me well in terms of preparing me for this position.
You have to look at the entire context and structure to really understand the problem, and so you just won't look at a test score. It was frowned upon to look at a single test score and make a diagnosis. So you have to look at the parent, the child, the home, the school, the collaboration, the community, and look at the whole in order to understand individual outcomes. And so I've been trained to view the world that way. I've been conditioned to view the world that way, and that's one thing the school psychology program has championed for a long time, at least here. And that's one thing I've taken away from it.